Hi everybody, it's David Porter, and this morning I want to talk about serial killers. First, don't spend a lot of time worrying about becoming a victim of a serial killer. Serial homicide is an extremely rare occurrence. The FBI estimates there are between 35 and 50 serial killers operating in the United States in any given year. They will claim 2 to 4 victims each. So we're talking about a maximum of 50 serial killers claiming 200 victims a year. And if you consider that we are a country of 330 million people, the chances of you becoming the victim of a serial killer are very, very small. The reason that people are fascinated by serial killers to the point of giving them celebrity status is that the media gives them a disproportionate amount of attention. One more time, I've said this before, the media is not there to educate you, enlighten you, inform you, or advise you. The media exists to make you terrified and outraged. The media sells fear and anger. They reach into your brain, they reach into the amygdala and turn the dial on your amygdala all the way up. The amygdala is the fear-anger center of the brain. Their job is to make you outraged and terrified because fear and outrage get attention. So, again, do not look on the media as a credible source of information. Maybe they were at one time. They absolutely are not at the current time. Serial killers are offenders who perpetrate serial sexual homicide. What does serial mean? They kill a series of victims. The FBI says, some sources I've read say they claim 3 victims in order to be classified as a serial killer. Other sources say 5, so we'll say 3 to 5. They have a cooling off period between kills. Typically that cooling off period is a year or 2. It could be months. There are rapid cycling serial offenders who have claimed victims every several weeks. That's very rare. Serial sexual homicide is going to have a number of very distinctive features. The victim will very likely be staged. The crime scene will be staged. The victim will be placed in a humiliating or undignified position as part of the fantasy that the killer has, and that the killer has acted out by committing the crime. Okay, everybody, I'm at the car wash and I'm waiting in line. There's nobody behind me, so what do? Do I stay put or do I go forward? I think I'm going to move forward, so I'm going to reach out and steady the camera. Bear with me 1 second here. There we go. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to continue until somebody pulls in behind me and wants to wash their car. Alright, so the serial killer will kill their victim, typically up close and personal. Ligature strangulation or the use of a knife or other sharp instrument, inflicting sharp force trauma. They may use a bludgeon, inflicting blunt force trauma. Serial killers have rarely used firearms because firearms are impersonal. They want to be physically close to their victim, have their hands on their victim, feel the victim struggle, and look into their eyes as the life goes out of them and experience the victim's horror and terror and disbelief that this is even occurring. And they are sadistic. They will typically have an erection and a spontaneous emission during the act of homicide. They may rape the victim during the attack or post-mortem, and they may insert foreign objects into the victim's mouth, rectum, or vagina, or all 3. The victim will may be staged. The crime scene may be staged. The victim will be placed in a humiliating or undignified position And as I've commented on before in another video, part of the reason is for the serial killer to realize or manifest the fantasy that they've had for so long, which is growing increasingly elaborate and detailed over the years. And part of the reason is to count coup on the first responders or investigators, meaning that counting coup is an expression that I've read indicating that the killer is going to want to produce horror and disgust in the first responders. They were going to want to traumatize them and plant images of the crime scene in their head as a memory that they will carry with them and live in horror, have nightmares, PTSD. I mean, this may or may not occur, but this is very often the intention of the killer. They want to victimize as many people as they can. The other elements include the fantasy, the killer's fantasy. Like I said, it's going to be very detailed, very elaborate, and it's going to be a long-term fantasy that they have. They are going to masturbate to it. They're going to video and journal about it. It's going to grow increasingly detailed, and when they can no longer achieve erection over the fantasy, or the masturbation is no longer satisfying, they're going to start acting it out behaviorally. They're going to start engaging in practice behaviors, where and trial runs, exercises, where they are going to test and develop their MO, their modus operandi, refining it until they are ready to actually make the kill. And of course, this is going to vary between organized versus disorganized offenders, the organized-disorganized dichotomy, and where they land on the scale. Serial killers tend to have one of three motives. They tend to first just be in a psychotic state, severe, persistent, chronic mental illness. They're in a psychotic state, unable to differentiate between reality and fantasy, and their fantasies are of a homicidal sexual nature. You have serial killers who are deluded in the sense that they believe they're on some mission to rid society of people who represent a group they find objectionable. You also have you have a third typology of serial killer. Oh gosh, I'm brain cramping right now. I think I need coffee. Hold on. You have the delusional. You have the ones who want to eliminate a specific group. Oh, and then you have the ones who are acting out past trauma, what Freud called the repetition compulsion, acting out past trauma. Now, as you may have noticed, I have not given specific examples of serial killers because I do not want to add to their celebrity status. I don't even want to use their names if I don't have to. So I'm speaking in generalities. Okay. It is snowing out pretty good. It's 27 degrees. This is not the greatest day to wash the car. Probably going to freeze the doors shut, but the car needs to be washed. So those are some of my thoughts on serial killers, and keep an eye out for a video on mass murderers who engage in active shooting. There's a difference between a mass murderer and a serial killer. All right, everyone, thank you for watching. Please be safe and hit subscribe.